Hello everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me MG if you'd like. And I've been going through it, if I'm gonna be honest. For pretty much all of November, I was in a writing slump, which is not fun, as you can imagine. It started off with me just having a rough time drafting because I was working on this really big, chunky contemporary romance book, which is not a genre that I've ever written before. So I was starting to struggle with that, and it turned into not being able to do any sort of writing, not even just like brainstorming or any of the fun little things that you do, like make playlists and mood boards. It was awful. It was an unintentional break that I decided to turn into an intentional break just to make myself feel better. I was very much purposeful in what I was doing to try and refill the creative well, all that fun stuff. So I had pretty much a full month of no writing, and I decided December is going to be the time that I'm going to get back on the horse, get back into writing, except December 1st, on Sunday, I was super busy. I was out of the house for pretty much the entire day. I think, aside from like sleeping, the only time I was in the house was maybe 3 hours, which, like, granted, is a lot of time if it's like one chunk, but it was throughout the day, and I just was not going to be able to get anything done, especially if I wanted to film it like I'm doing here. Yesterday was December 2nd, and it was my intention to get this going yesterday. I was like, it's Monday, it's a great day for a new start, and then I got a migraine. If you're new here, you don't know, I have a lot of chronic health conditions, one of them being migraines, though I haven't really had a migraine in several weeks before yesterday, so it kind of like really took me by surprise. It's been maybe even a couple of months since I've had a migraine. I've had headaches since then, but nothing major. But yeah, I woke up yesterday at 7:30 like I usually do, and I got in the shower. I was perfectly fine. Then about halfway through my shower, I noticed like vision issues in my left eye. I got like a line of what looked like TV static, which if you have migraines that affect your vision like I do, that's not an uncommon one. But I didn't have any of the other symptoms, so I was just like, okay, weird, but I can deal with it. And then I finished up my shower, got dressed, went downstairs, poured myself a glass of water. By the time I got back upstairs, everything else hit me at once. The entire right side of my face was throbbing. It felt like there were needles stabbing the back of my right eye. I was nauseous. My teeth were hurting. It was truly one of the worst migraines that I've had in years. So I was like, fuck this. I'm getting back in bed. So I did, and I was just having an awful time. I got up at noon to have some soup. I told my boyfriend, I'm like, I need to eat because that will help this, but I need to also lay down, so come get me for lunch and I'll eat some soup. And then I did and went right back into bed. Around 2:30, I was starting to feel better, so I was able to like sit and do some light reading, and like my afternoon and evening were very chill, but I was able to actually exist as a person, which I wasn't for the entire morning. But I was not gonna be able to do anything intensive like writing, and I ended up going to bed at like 9 o'clock. So I'm now here on Tuesday, December 3rd to get back into writing. I'm still not 100%. The like extra bits have gone, like I can see perfectly fine, the brain fog is gone, I'm not nauseous anymore. I do have a little bit of an ache still in my head, but it's nothing major. If it gets too bad, I'll take some Tylenol. But I just want to get back into writing. I'm so excited. I've got a lot of projects I've been thinking about. Yesterday, while I was in bed, half asleep, half awake for the whole day, I was doing a lot of thinking about my projects, because what else am I going to do? Think about how much pain I'm in? That's not fun. So I have been thinking quite a lot about several projects, and I have a loose game plan for what I want to do today. And this vlog is intended to only be today, but it might be today and tomorrow. We'll see how things go. I just want it to be some nice, easy things to ease back into writing. The first thing that I'm going to do is compile feedback. So I actually have two stories that I recently received feedback on The first is City of Blood, aka TSOBAB, which is my Bloodborne-inspired dark fantasy, horror, gothic-y romance question mark. I don't think it could actually be considered a romance by the, like, typical things you see in that genre, but there is a very important romance to the story. It's a whole bunch of genres mushed together, but I had 2 friends read that, and I will definitely be compiling that feedback because they gave this feedback to me early November, and so it's kind of just been sitting there, and I feel really bad. The other project, I don't know if I'm going to get to looking through the feedback just yet because I only received it a few days ago. It was the end of the month, and so I feel okay letting it sit for a little bit more. That is my project Cowboy Baby, aka TDGHD. I always trip up when I'm saying that acronym, I don't know why. But that is my sapphic supernatural western novel, and I had one friend looking at that, and I'm very excited to read through all the feedback. I'm not going to be editing anything today. Even if I do look through the feedback for both stories, it's literally just going to be putting the info in a little chart where I'd be like, Chapter 1, this person said this, but this other person said this. Chapter 2, I had this idea, and this other person also thinks that that could change, etc., etc. So I'll definitely be doing that for City of Blood, maybe the other story, but probably not. Aside from that, there are 2 projects that I have been thinking about nonstop pretty much the entirety of my break from writing, and they are 2 very early stage projects. I've done almost nothing with them. So first we have Salvation, which is very heavily inspired by the video game Night in the Woods. If we're gonna go with comp titles with books, I would say it is like Where Darkness Blooms meets Hell Followed With Us, isolated setting, maybe slightly post-apocalyptic vibes, but not a ton. Like, it's not like the important bit. It's not going to be like a post-apocalyptic setting, but I might have those vibes. Religious cult, working through trauma, all that fun stuff. The other project that I've been thinking about is If We Shadows, and that is a retelling of A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is my favorite Shakespeare play, except instead of this big royal wedding happening, the main focus is the final performance from a once famous theater company, and the fairies are now ghosts. So, super excited about that one. It's so fun. I think the reason I've been thinking about Salvation is because it's been so bitterly cold recently. I needed this, like, summery project to think about. It takes place the end of spring, early summer, and I think I've been thinking about If We Shadows a lot because I'm always in the mood for dark academia, and this is like dark academia adjacent. I don't know if I would consider it completely dark academia, but it doesn't really matter. So for those projects, I will probably be doing some mood boarding, maybe some brainstorming. I have this notebook that I have not touched since September. That's the last time I did any story brainstorming that was more intensive than like a sentence I put in the notes app of my phone. So it's just a normal notebook that I will brain dump my ideas into for one or both of these projects. I will show you any mood boards that I make later on. I'll pop them on screen because what's the point of making a mood board if you don't show it off? Like, that's half of the fun of it. I also want to make a playlist for Salvation. I have a couple of songs in mind that I have to re-listen to like make sure they truly fit the vibe, but then I might just like add them to a playlist and let Spotify choose some other songs to play for me and listen to it maybe while I'm doing the mood boarding, and if I come across a couple that I like, I'll add them to the playlist, and I'll also share the playlist with you at the end. So those are my plans. Very loosey-goosey, but exciting. I believe Shannon is streaming right now. She's been streaming like every day for eons. So it's been great having that company. I don't catch all of her streams, and even if I'm watching, I don't always chat. Sometimes I'm just in lurking mode, but it's been really nice having that consistent company, even if it is just digitally. So I might check out her stream just to have that going while I'm working. but I have rambled on for 10 minutes now. It's about time I get out of here and actually start writing. So I'm gonna go work on compiling City of Blood feedback. I think I'm gonna work up here for now, but if it gets too cold, I might move downstairs because the heating doesn't work as well upstairs as it does downstairs, and I've got a really comfy pink chair that is calling my name at all times, so if it does get cold, I will head down there and do some work, but you'll see that as the vlog goes on. I am gonna get to work now. Okay, this angle's so weird because my phone that I'm recording on is balanced precariously on my laptop, which is balanced precariously on my lap. But I've been reading through Marta's feedback on City of Blood because I had two people read it, Marta and Archer. Marta's just the document that I clicked on first. And I love her feedback for a variety of reasons. She's read all of my stories at various points, sometimes several times she's read my stories before they get published. I think she's so good at, like, critiquing in a way that is helpful but also positive. Like, she will get to the root of things and be like, this is the stuff that needs to be worked on the most, these are the scenes that aren't working, etc., etc. My favorite parts of Marta's comments, however, are the little, like, one-liners that she has. They're just so funny to me. Like, I'm reading through the first couple of chapters and her notes and stuff, and there's just get to one note that says, "Only one bed, huh?" And for some reason, that's just so funny to me. It really took me out. I'm just like, yeah, only one bed, huh? So, I'm having a great time. I've read through the first handful of chapters, and I'm gonna keep going. I'm, like I said, just putting it into a little chart, and once I get through all of Marta's comments, I'll go to the document that I sent to Archer and go through all of those comments, and then hopefully formulate a plan. This already, I know, is going to take a lot of editing, a lot of writing from scratch, because I knew this was going to need a lot of stuff added to it. So the plan, I think, once I go through all this feedback, is to re-outline it, which I don't do often. I have re-outlined a couple of stories, but most of the time I just go through and add things. But this, I think, is going to benefit from re-outlining because there are two POVs that are third-person limited. I have stories from all sorts of POVs, first person, third person, limited, omniscient, whatever. This one is third person limited from two different POV characters, and I really need to, like, hone in on that and not go omniscient because I was working on this around the same time I was working on my Western, and that is third person omniscient. So I did kind of mess up a little bit in there. So I think re-outlining is going to be in order, and that will also help with the fact that I have a bunch of time skips that Marta is like, hey, actually show what happens during this time, and I'm like, dang it, I can't get away with just skipping to the fun parts, which, like, the other parts are gonna be fun once they're written. I just didn't want to write them. So yeah, I'm gonna continue going through the stuff from Marta, and then get to Archer's comments, and I'll see you when I have another update, guys. Alright. It took me about 45 minutes to read through all of Marta's comments and kind of, like, gather my thoughts on them and put the comments in my little chart, but I have in fact gone through all of Marta's comments, and I'm starting to have a little bit of a crisis. Not because of you, Marta, if you're watching this. It's not anything that you said or whatever. It's just, like, what if I'm not cut out to write third person? Because here I have a third person limited story that keeps being super omniscient, and then my other story that's third person is third person omniscient, and I keep having moments that are like, this is very limited, and I'm just like, what if I just write first person for the rest of my life? What if? Which is an insane thought to have, because if you'd asked me 2-3 years ago, before I started publishing books, I would have said, I'm never writing first person ever. All of my, like, initial projects, I guess, have been in the third person, and then I went back to Revelry, which became my debut novel. When I first wrote it, I put it away for like almost a year, I think, and when I went back to read it, I was like, I wrote this in first person? Why? I've never written first person before. I genuinely had forgotten I did that, but it really worked for that story. And then the other books in the same series, which it's a series of companion novels, you don't have to read them in order. That's neither here nor there. It just made sense for me to continue to write those in first person. So Jenny was a friend of mine from the first draft, was in first person, and then Exquisite Corpse, the first draft of that was technically third person, but that was a completely different story, basically, that I kind of cannibalized in order to then write Exquisite Corpse. I kind of just took stuff out of that and put it in this new book. And so those are first person. And I'm sitting here like, maybe all of my stories should be first person. It's a lot easier to keep the tense correct. Although, I will say, when I was doing my copy edits for Revelry in the Dark, the very last edits of that book, I came across a single sentence that somehow, in the years that I had been working on that book, the countless rounds of my own edits and other people editing this book, it just slipped through that there was a single sentence in the third person. How? How did I write a single sentence in the third person? Why did I write a single sentence in the third person? I don't know. But now, here I am thinking, maybe I should write this in the first person, because that would solve the, like, issues of it suddenly switching people. They would solve that, because I wouldn't be able to do that. But I don't know. I don't know if it would work for my Western book, particularly, because that, like I said, is more omniscient. We see from a lot of people, like, what they're doing. But this book, I think it could work in first person, just with my two characters, Leo and Jem. I would just put, like, at the start of each chapter, like, Leo or Jem, and then you would know getting into the thing, but, like, I would probably put their name at the beginning of the chapter. Anyway, that's the crisis that I'm having right now. But March's feedback has been very helpful. So now I am going to go through Archer's feedback, and I'm assuming it'll also take me only about 45 minutes. Although I don't know how much Archer has commented on. So we're gonna do that, and then probably get lunch, because it is currently 10:50. So I'm gonna go through the feedback, and then get lunch. And then regroup with some less intensive projects, because this may not be as intensive as, like, actually editing or drafting anything, but it does still involve a lot more thought process than just, like, brain dumping or working on mood boards. So I'm glad I'm getting that done this morning, and then I get to do the fun stuff this afternoon. But yes, I'm gonna go through comments, come back and talk to you about it, and then get lunch, and then we'll see where things go from there. So I'm gonna get on that. Writing is gonna be so hard when I actually get back to, the writing part of it. I'm so not looking forward to it, you guys. Like, I am, because I want the story to be good, but also I have so much work to do. I'm tired, y'all. I definitely think, like, now is a good time to get back to doing writing stuff. Like, I've had enough of a break from it, but, like, definitely not enough of a break from the actual writing stuff. So, like, I think this going through feedback was good, and, like, before I went through the feedback, like, this morning, I was like, maybe after I get the feedback, then, like, later this week I can start actually doing edits. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. Like, I should, but I don't want to do that. So, all of the feedback has been looked through. Archer gave a lot of stuff for me to think about, and it's confirmed my thoughts that this needs to be re-outlined in its entirety. I still don't know about switching it from third person to first person. We'll see. That doesn't have to be decided anytime soon. Yeah. Yikes. Oh my god. Who let me do this? Who thought it would be a good idea to have me want to be a writer and then make writing hard? That just seems really rude. I don't know. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm clearly a little bit overwhelmed, so like the plan was before, I'm gonna go have some lunch. I think I'm gonna have a bowl of cereal, maybe oatmeal. We'll see what I'm feeling when I get downstairs, if I want something cold or something hot. But I'm gonna do that. And then I think the playlist and mood board stuff is gonna be fun. We're gonna switch to Salvation because I feel like that is the most different from City of Blood that I can get right now. I feel like City of Blood is very dark and gory and like high tension. And like, yes, Salvation has a lot of that too, but it also is very summery. And I don't know. It just feels more different than what's my project name? If We Shadows does. If We Shadows is also very dark, but like in a different way. These are all very different projects, but at the same time, they're all the same because they're all coming from me. So, I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point, y'all. I'm surprised. I will be surprised, I meant to say, if this vlog even turns out, like, understandable. Like, am I even saying words right now? I feel so out of it. It's been weeks since I've done anything related to stories other than just thinking about them, so this was a time. Yeah, I'm gonna go eat. Eating will probably also help me feel like more of a person, so that's definitely something that should have happened earlier, but it's gonna happen now. And then I will see you when I do the fun stuff, the playlist, and the mood boards, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Hello, friends. As you can tell, I'm lounging downstairs. So I made my playlist, and I will link the Spotify down in the description below, or maybe I'll make it a YouTube playlist. Like, I'll just find the songs on YouTube. I feel like that would be a lot easier, because not everyone has Spotify. Yeah, I'll make it into a YouTube playlist and link it down below. I'm very happy with the playlist that I made for Salvation. There's a lot of the front bottoms on it, which, like, I'm literally wearing my front bottom screw neck right now, so are we surprised? No. But I am super happy with it. It's not too long, which I feel like a lot of people make playlists that are like 800 songs long, and don't get me wrong, I definitely have playlists like that, but for stories, I feel like the more niche you can get, the better for a playlist, so it is 10, 11 songs, something like that. I'm sorry, someone just walked by. There's people talking. Oh my gosh. I hope it's not the construction people that have been working next door again. My next door neighbors got their front stoop replaced, and then yesterday they had it removed again. So I don't know what's up with that, but it was not fun to deal with a migraine. I can tell you that much. Anyway, I will put my 2 mood board squares that I made up here. So over here, I'll pop Salvation, we can continue talking about that since I already talked about it for the playlist. So I went with a classic 3x3 grid for this one, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. I like the pattern of there being like 3 that have words in them, 3 pictures that have people in them, and then 3 like other pictures that don't have words or people, which you can see because it's on the screen. But I really think this captures the vibes of the story. So just have this up. You can pause the video here with it up and go listen to the playlist and tell me what you think of the story vibes. I think I've captured at least what's going on in my head quite well. This is all just in my head at this point. There's no actual story, so it is bound to change when I get to actually writing it, so that's fine. Over here, I'll put my square for If We Shadows. Why do I keep forgetting the name of that story? Anyway, I went for a little bit more experimental of a layout here, and I'm also happy with how this turned out. A little bit less so. I feel like it's not quite what I wanted it to be, but Pinterest was not showing me things that I liked exactly. Like, this is all, like, fine, but it's not, like, quite what I wanted, you know? So, it does what it's supposed to do, give you a mood for the story, but it's not perfect, which I didn't expect it to be. But I am very happy with the Salvation one. So, I think I'm actually going to tap out here. I have no idea how long this vlog is going to be. Not long at all, for sure. But I actually fell asleep down here while scrolling Pinterest. So, I think that's a sign that I need to rest and stop doing things. So I'm genuinely just going to, after closing out this vlog here, sit in this chair and watch YouTube, and if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. I'm perfectly fine with that. So, I think, in terms of getting back into writing, this was a success. Because I did do stuff. I also had a little bit of crisis. Let's see, let's recount this vlog. I went through beta reader feedback, had a crisis, scrolled Pinterest, made a playlist, scrolled more Pinterest, fell asleep, made some mood boards, and now we're here. So, yeah, we can count that as a success. I'm definitely going to be doing more writerly things as the days go by. That's my cat scratching something. But for coming back from an almost month-long writing slump, I think today was perfectly acceptable. So I'm going to call it here. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.